It's been a while since I've been back on the channel, but I'm here today to share my second and a half trimester experience so far. For all of you who have just joined me on my journey, welcome. I'm very excited to share that as of today, I am 33 weeks pregnant. I know, time passes so quickly, it's so insane. After the announcement of the pregnancy, a lot has happened during the second trimester, and I'm so excited to share with you guys my experience. Firstly, there are a few things medically that I had to go through as someone who is pregnant in their second trimester. First one is the OGTT test, otherwise known as the oral glucose tolerance test. That's a very common test taken by the mother, I think in the week 24-ish area. So what this test does is essentially tell you whether or not you have gestational diabetes. In order to do that test, you have to take this really sweet syrup because glucose is basically sugar. Thankfully, I do not have gestational diabetes, so it saves me so much trouble because on top of that, I went to Hong Kong and it could have really ruined my trip. So thankfully, all is well. During the 20-week mark, I also had to take my fetal scan. So we got to see baby's little growth. Things to take note of when you're doing your 20-week scan is they really look at your digits, the alignment of the bone, whether it's straight, whether the internal organs are growing well. So a lot of the internal factors are taken into account when you do your 20-week fetal scan. We got to hear his heartbeat. We also took note of the blood flow between me and baby. So they will see the blood flow within the umbilical cord. So it was quite interesting because we got to see all of these little details right there and then, and we did our best to understand as much as we possibly can, because sometimes you really don't know what it is. They can tell you, oh, this is the kidney, and we're like, right, kidney, yeah, I totally see that. Another thing that they do check during the 20-week fetal scan is the physiological bits of the gender of your child, if you know what I mean. Basically, if you took a DNA test like I did, the DNA would have already told you whether you're having a boy or a girl. This fetal scan sort of confirms it for you structurally to see whether your baby is male or female. Everything matches, so we're like, yay, praise God. On top of that, the second trimester was actually a really good time for us to travel for the last time as a couple. So we had a doctor's note to say that I was okay to fly, and we went to Hong Kong. The Hong Kong vlog will be up next week, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that because I talk a little bit more about the food there in Hong Kong. Wayne and I used to live in the Hong Kong Shenzhen area, so it's like going back home, and next time we would definitely want to bring baby over to Hong Kong and Shenzhen with us. But let's also talk about the physiological changes that happened with me. First one, definitely nausea stopped. There was no nausea at all, thank goodness. For some reason, and of course this doesn't happen to every single pregnant woman, my nausea immediately stopped right from the beginning of the second trimester. So that was good because it meant that I could eat so much more, which is important for the baby's growth, especially during the second and third trimester, where you have to consume more food and consume more calories so that your baby can grow. In terms of food cravings, I ended up liking a lot of the food that my husband likes to eat. I personally am not a big fan of some of the things that my husband really enjoys, but I ended up craving a lot of what he wanted to eat, and more recently mee kia, which is this yellow noodle with ghee taste, and I really don't like the taste of ghee, so naturally for me myself, on a regular day before I was pregnant, I didn't really go for anything that tasted like ghee, but apparently my child likes the taste of ghee, so it's so strange. And if any of you expecting mummies or already mummies used to experience this, please let me know in the comments. Symptomatically, there was nothing much during the second trimester in terms of discomfort for me. I had a really smooth second trimester. So far, I'm also having a very smooth third trimester. People see me at events and outside, they're like, I can't believe that you're still out and about and you're still working out. I just wanted to make sure that I live my life to the fullest and not let the pregnancy sort of hold hold me back from what I wanted to do. If I can move, I can go out, I can travel, that's exactly what I was gonna do. During the second trimester as well, I felt really sick. So for 1 to 2 weeks straight, I was just lying in bed, not really doing much because the flu was so bad. I had basically a congested nose. When you're pregnant, there are certain things that you cannot take, especially when it comes to drugs and medicines. So I try to do it on the minimal. I choose to opt for like flu medications that are pregnancy friendly. Totally avoided the whole idea of having antibiotics administered as well. Thankfully, I did not have a fever, so really, again, praise God. I did not want to go overboard in terms of how I was medicating, so I just kept it to a minimal, which might be the reason why I took a little bit longer to recover, but that's fine. Baby is healthy, and that's honestly all that matters. In terms of exercise, I definitely exercised way more in the second trimester as compared to the first trimester, mainly because physically I felt way better. Again, there was no nausea, there was no physical exhaustion that I felt, so I decided to, push a little bit more, make sure I get in my physical exercise because I heard that that really helps with labor. Speaking of exercise, I also went to Hagen for a childbirth class, which was really fun. I'm gonna have the video up really soon, right after the Hong Kong vlog, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But the gist is this: if you want to go for natural birth, I would definitely encourage you to get some exercise in, at least for the lower part of your body, so that you can make sure it's nimble and a little bit more flexible, and it will be much easier for you when it comes to birth. At least that's what I've heard. Right now, I'm going to answer some of your questions that you have sent to me on Instagram about my second trimester. Here I have my phone with all the questions on it. The first one is it worse than the first one or better? By one, I'm probably assuming trimester. Second trimester, definitely better than the first for me, at least. But I do know of plenty of people who have it just as bad during their second trimester as they did the first. So it really depends on you as a person. Actually, I don't think it's dependent on the person. It's dependent on the pregnancy as a whole, because even if I'm experiencing a really smooth pregnancy for this time round, my next pregnancy might not be the smoothest, you know what I mean? It really depends on the pregnancy. Second question, do you feel any pain or anything like that? How does it feel to be a mother? For me, I've not really experienced any type of discomfort aside from round ligament pains. Round ligament pains occur at that ligament that is the V of your body near the hip. I'll probably insert a photo somewhere here. It happens for me when I stand up too quickly and the ligaments have to tighten to sort of hold the weight of the uterus. I think that is what's happening. Medically, I'm not too sure. If you guys are doctors, please feel free to correct me, but those are like the only type of pains that I feel. Aside from that, I guess there's just a regular heartburn from acid reflux, but nothing overly uncomfortable. Are you going to have water birth or normal birth? I don't think water birth is very common here in Singapore. I am going for natural birth, hopefully without epidural. Epidural to me sounds way scarier than labor. Also, as someone who has gone through a miscarriage and understand the pains that comes with miscarriages, physically, I think I can roughly gauge on how painful it's gonna be. Whether I'm right or not, we'll only find out when I give birth. How big is baby now and how many kilos have I gained? Baby is about 1.7, 1.8 kilos the last we checked, which was last week. Overall, I am now about 70 kilos. Now my weight started off at about 57. A lot of people told me that they cannot really tell that I'm pregnant just based on looking at my face, because I don't really gain a lot of weight on my face. Mainly on my torso is where I gained weight, as well as my legs when I get water retention, but that's not an everyday occurrence for me as well. So again, I'm very blessed to have a very smooth pregnancy. Any difficulty in fitting your previous clothes now? So far, I don't really have a lot of difficulty fitting into my clothes from before I was pregnant, because I have a lot of things that are stretchy, thankfully. Like this dress is from before I was pregnant, the top as well. The things that I tend to not be able to fit into is any top that has a zip that's fitted, because when you are pregnant, your breasts get enlarged. because you have to produce milk. So I would say my boobies are a little bit bigger now, therefore I'm not able to zip my clothes all the way up. But I still fit in almost all of my clothes. I also found hacks that you can see on my Instagram to be able to fit into my regular pants. I haven't exactly bought any clothes for maternity purposes, aside from a pair of pants that I wanted to wear on the plane when I was on the way to Hong Kong, just so that I could be comfortable. Do I feel the baby kicking? I do! I started feeling him kick even before the 20-week scan. I know, it's so strange. About the 19-week mark, I think I started to feel him move. I didn't really know what it was at first. I just thought it was like my tummy doing weird things. But after a while, I was like, this doesn't feel like something my stomach would do. It was then that I realized that, oh, it's actually baby moving. And that was quite a magical moment for me. And I quickly called my husband and like, hey, baby's moving. I can feel baby move. And the funny part was when we were doing the 20-week fetal scan, he actually kicked the sonographer like really, really hard. I guess it gets a little bit uncomfortable, especially when they have to use the probe to like really press onto your stomach to make sure they get a little bit of the details of the legs and the feet and stuff. So he was like, pah! Clearly, this guy is my son. What month am I in right now? I am 33 weeks pregnant as of today, so that's about 7.5, 8 months-ish. I know, I'm going to deliver in potentially less than 7 weeks. It's so insane. I just cannot fathom how fast this entire process is. Do you take bird's nest or chicken essence? If yes, may I know which brand? I don't really take a lot of bird's nest, and I definitely don't take chicken essence because I don't like the taste of chicken essence. I mean, it's just a little bit strange to me that something salty is coming out of a bottle. I eat two kinds of bird's nest. The first one is from New Moon. Thank you, New Moon, for constantly having me in mind and sending me bird's nest. The second one is from my grandma. My grandma makes bird's nest for me from scratch, so that is when I would take in bird's nest. But it's not an everyday indulgence for me. What's the most challenging thing during this trimester? I would think the most challenging thing for myself as well as my husband is getting everything in order, because what we really wanted to do during the second trimester was essentially get ready, like the nursery. We're getting a helper, getting the helper's room ready as well. I'm sure you mummies know when you are preparing for your first child, there's just so many things that you need ready in your house. For Wei and I, it was just getting those things in order because we felt like we were on a timeline. It was like, okay, second trimester, this is the only time where I can like really fully function during the entire pregnancy. So we were just like, okay, let's go. So I think time management was one of those things, because on top of that, we had our regular jobs and work and things like that. It was quite a tricky one to manage, but I think so far we have done a pretty good job. We have a nursery tour coming up as well. We're actually getting the nursery done this week. It's still in like a horrible mess, so I'm not going to show you guys that at all until it's done. There are a lot of people asking me about nausea. I don't really feel any more nausea in my second trimester, and I definitely don't feel nauseous in my third trimester, which I'm currently in right now. The only thing to take note about your third trimester is that the baby is now taking up so much space. Your stomach doesn't really have a lot of space to consume food. So I always have to break down my meals into smaller portions so that I don't get too full too fast, and I always have food ready because you get hungry really easily. Has your food cravings changed? I don't think they have changed, but they have increased. For example, previously I mentioned that I really like sour things. I still really do. I still love lime juices, anything with like a citrus flair, sour, strawberries, those kind of things I absolutely love. I've also been eating a lot of berries during my second trimester. For some reason, I just love eating berries by the tray. It's not really sour, but it definitely is a bit of a change in terms of cravings. I'm getting a lot of questions on the gender of my baby. If you guys have not watched my gender review, please do so because it was so much fun. I had so much fun doing this with my friends as well as my family, so I'm not going to tell you in this video. So I guess that's kind of like the last question that is not repeated. But thank you guys so much for sending in your questions. I'm so excited for the content that's about to come. There is my Hong Kong vlog, there is my childbirth class, there is my nursery tour, how to care for newborns with my husband, and then we're gonna work our way all the way up to the labor and the delivery of the baby itself, and then my confinement. There's just so many things happening that's so new to me. If you guys have any advice and you guys guys are mummies watching this, please let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys have any further questions, you can let me know in the comment section down below as well. Again, this is my second pregnancy, but will be my firstborn. We pray that baby will be born healthy. And yeah, that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any more video requests, you can let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys next time. 안녕.